Hey guys, today in this video we're going to be assembling the digger add-on for the Stackr. This is the box for it. It looks like this. Now, for this assembly, you'll be needing a Phillips screwdriver as well as a small Allen key. So, let's begin the assembly. To start, grab two pieces that look like this. These will be the sides of the add-on. And then grab a piece that looks like this. We'll be attaching them together like so. Now to do that, we'll also need a few screws. Look for the bag, which contains a lot of these M3 screws with a Phillips head, okay? There should be a total of 16 in this bag. For now, grab 4 of them. You should then look for the bag which contains 8 of these nuts. It looks like this. And again, grab 4 of them. So to start, you'll notice that this piece has little notches in the side over there, and it has them for both sides. This is where you'll be able to put the nuts in, and these notches will help keep them in place as you set the screw in. So we'll start with one side. Once you have both nuts in for one side, take one of the frame pieces and we'll be screwing through these two holes here. So what I'll do is I'll actually screw them partially in, and this will help align the piece in a second. So I screw that just so it's barely sticking out the other side. I'll do that for both holes. And then I can align these two pieces together. Line the holes and start screwing. Okay, we could see one piece is now in place. Now we need to do the same thing for the other side. So again, we can see the nuts are now in place. And again, we're just repeating the same steps as we did last time. Again, I screw them in just so they're slightly poking out the other side, which will help us align the two pieces together. Okay, now we can see the screws for both sides are in and secure. So next, take this piece, which looks like so. You can take the motors out of it, as we won't be needing them right now, but do hold on to them, we'll need them for later. So we'll be doing pretty much the same thing as we just did. You'll notice that on the sides of this piece, there are little notches where you could put the nuts. Nuts we'll be using are the other 4 from the bag that we took from earlier. And you could grab 4 more screws from the same bag which we used earlier. So it's pretty much the same process, except this time I'll be setting all 4 nuts in place before I start screwing in the pieces. Okay, now we can see all 4 of the nuts are in place. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put screw the screws in slightly for one side. Just so I could keep this piece in place. Okay, now let's set the screw in fully. Okay, now we'll just set in the screws for the other side. This part should be easier. Oh, so now we can see that all of the nuts and screws are in place. So this is kind of what our main frame is going to look like. And we can just set it on the side for now. We will need it for later. But our next step will involve our 2 servos. So now what we need to do is we need to calibrate the motors so that we could find out their default 90-degree position. To do that, I have a Stackr here, which already has the program for the digger loaded onto it. So you could plug both servos in to the back of the bot with the connector which has 3 pins. Notice when you plug it in with the side that has those exposed metal pieces facing upwards. Then you can just turn the Stackr on, and the servos will move into their default 90-degree position. This is important as this will help us when attaching the arms onto the servos. And we'll get into that in a second. What you'll need is 2 of these bags, which look like so. These are the bags that come normally with the servos. From that bag, take out this piece, looks like so. Here's the second bag. Again, take out the same piece. Now for one of the motors, you should place this black piece horizontally to the length of the servo. So it should look like this. The other one should be placed vertically, like so. If it's slightly off, that's okay. It should just be roughly correct. Now, for the horizontal one, take a piece which looks like this. It essentially acts sort of like an arm, and you'll notice that on the back side, there's this notch, which matches the shape of this piece. You can slide the arm into the servo, fitting it into that notch, like so. For the other servo, take this piece, it's essentially a smaller version of that, and it has that notch as well, and you can slide that in to the other servo. Now to keep this in place, take this bag of 2 screws. This is a close-up of the screws. And you can place them in these small holes. Do that for both servos. Now we can actually put the servo with the small arm aside for now. And let's keep the one with the big arm here. What we want to do is we want to attach this piece to that arm. This is essentially the digger piece of the digger, so to speak. So to attach it, take this bag of 2 small screws. The screws should have a cone head shape. You can take one of the screws and slide it in the bottom hole of this piece, like so. And then press it into the arm a little. And screw it in. Now it's important that when you screw it in so that it's tight enough that it will keep it relatively in place, but not so tight that this can't move around. So there should still be a little bit of wiggle room. Next, take this other arm here. You'll notice that this one doesn't have a notch like the first one that we used. And you can attach that arm to this piece the same way. You slide the second screw through the top hole. Press it into the arm and screw it into place. Again, we make sure to screw it so that this piece can still move and it's not completely tight. Okay, now we want to attach the servos onto our main frame. And you'll notice that it has these 2 slots here where we can attach them. So we'll do this one first. And you could slide it in like so. To keep it in place, grab one of these bags, which we used earlier, and take these two small screws. You'll notice that on the sides of the servos, there's little holes where we could set these screws into place. You can see that's the first one. So you could see that's where the second screw goes. And now our servo is in place. Now let's set in place the other one. Again, we pretty much do the same thing. And we grab this other bag and we take the same two types of screws. Once again, kind of hard to see, but the sides of the motors have two little holes where we could put these screws in. That's the first side. So you see now we have both servos in place. So now we're almost done, but we still have a couple steps left. For your next step, find this bag, which has this longer screw and a single nut inside of it. Slide the screw through this dangling arm. And put the nut onto the screw. And finally, we can screw these two arms together. Okay, now we see that the arm of the digger is moving quite smoothly. And we just have a couple simple steps left. One thing we'll do is we'll take the cables from the servos and set them through these little notches. So we see both cables are through those notches. And our actual final piece to this is this large one here, which we can just stick into these holes on this back piece. This will essentially act as a counterweight to help keep the stacker in balance. So just fit it in like so. Okay, now all that's left to do is to attach our add-on to this stacker I have here. We can do that by attaching it through these holes on the sides of the stacker, which match the holes on the sides of the digger. The screws we'll use are from this bag, which we've actually used earlier. We should set the add-on around the stacker, align the holes, and begin screwing. So that's one side done. And now we can do the other side. Okay, now we can see the add-on is attached to the stacker. For our servos, we can plug them into this back connector, just like we did earlier. And we can turn it on. So you'll see this is why we calibrated the servos earlier. So when the program starts, it automatically sets the servos to their default 90-degree position. We set the arms in such a way so that the default 90-degree position isn't something that would bend the arms out of place or overly strain the servos. Instead, it's this neutral position. For the actual program, we'll be going over how that works in another video. Just know that we already have it loaded onto the stacker. And you can see I turned on the RC remote. So I can move it around just like without the add-on, of course. However, we can see that I can also control the angle of the arm of the digger with the RC remote. I'll just do that again. So that concludes our assembly of the digger add-on. Thank you for watching.